Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. So we're just waiting to see if anyone is going to pop up. And like always, at 6:03, we are going to get this thing on the road. I didn't even check to see if the volume was turned all the way up. So I hope that you guys have been able to hear me. But, it doesn't matter. I wasn't talking about anything too important. So if you are watching this on the replay, tell me how your week has been, what you've been up to, what you have coming up. It's almost July. So, what do you have planned to finish out the rest of the month, and what do you have going on in July? As for me personally, June has been a very, very, very busy month, but like I'm so excited because I finally finished a project that I've been working on like for a very, very, very long time. So I was very excited to finally be done. And it was one of those projects where at first I didn't think that I would be able to get it done because everything was going crazy at the time. We have someone who joined. Hi, Greg. And like I mentioned before, like when life just starts happening, it's like you start to question your own ability, and it's like you start to second guess, like, well, will I even be able to get it done? Will I have time to get it done? Hi, Timothy. And I was able to get it done. And even though it was later than my anticipated date, it still got done. And that's a big part of what I'm going to talk about tonight, why accountability matters and why that's important in reaching your goals. So we're just going to wait one more minute and then we're going to get started. So, how have y'all been? So, we have two people in right now. So, like I said, just waiting one more minute before we get started. Blessed. That's amazing. That's the best way to be. Because I'm in a season like that myself where, regardless of whether things are going the way I pictured they would go or not, it's like I still find the blessings in it. Because that's the point of it. Sometimes we have these thoughts in our minds as to this is exactly how life is supposed to go, and if it goes that way, then I'll be happy. But the point of life is just being happy regardless of where you are, and whenever you just stop to think about like how much you have, how much you've accomplished, you really will just sit there and just have so much gratitude once you realize like I really am blessed. So all right, so it is 6:03, so I am going to go ahead and get started. So I mentioned in a previous video that I was working on an ebook, and I did the cover reveal a few weeks ago. I think it was at the beginning of June. And the ebook is entitled The Key to Accountability: How to Hold Yourself and Others Accountable. And the brainchild for this came about when I was first working with my book coaching clients, and I think this is around 2019. And accountability wasn't something that I offered aside from the book coaching. And I noticed that some clients, like, it would take them longer to reach their goals. They would start, then they would stop. And I just thought about it. I was like, like, there needs to be something added to just helping them write a book. Like, it needs to be a little extra cushion to keep pushing them along the way, give them something extra in addition to just the actual technicalities of writing a book. So in my check-ins, I started doing it more frequently, and I would always do a wellness check, always making sure like, okay, so how are you doing? Like, not how the book is going, how are you doing? And figuring out what was going on with them in their personal life, and then figuring out what other things they were working on, and then figuring out, okay, so how are we going to incorporate your goals for the book into that? And with every check-in, it's like I'm following up with the things that we talked about before. It's like, okay, so were you able to get this done? Were you able to move this around? Because I remember before you mentioned having conflicts with scheduling. So I started to incorporate more of the individual in the book coaching process. And in doing that, I learned how important accountability is, because of course it's easy for us to set goals. I'm one of those people who have long list of goals, but it's like I always make myself narrow those down and choose which ones are most important. And of course, that has been a struggle for me in the past, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. But setting goals, mostly that's the easy part. You know, you don't really struggle with that because you know what you want to do, you know what you want to achieve. Even if you don't know how you're going to get there, you have an idea of what you want. However, it's the in between. So, what's going to take you from where you are now to where you want to be? That's the part that we struggle with. And even though we might be consistent at first, it's like the beginning of the year. Everyone has their New Year resolutions, they're ready to go. But as soon as February hits, some people might make it to March, all of that is out the window, and it's like they're starting over, and it's like, well, next year I'll do it. And it's not necessarily consistency, it's not necessarily discipline. The biggest thing is a lack of accountability, because if you don't have anything to hold you accountable, why would you work toward it? You know, and the biggest thing is making sure that you keep to your word, the word that you set for yourself. And you've all heard the phrase that, you know, like, I don't know how it goes, I'm not going to chop it up, but it's like, you know, with like one of the most important things a man has is his word, something like that. So it's like that's what you have to stand by. You said you wanted it, so you have to do what needs to be done in order to achieve it. And all that is accountability, making good on what you said you were going to do. And accountability is definitely necessary for success, not only in your professional life, but in your personal life. And I'm going to give you 3 points that I wanted to share. We have someone else who joined. Hello. So I'm going to share 3 points, which is in my opinion, and of course everyone may differ, but to me, these are the three most important points as to why accountability matters when it comes to success. So number one, accountability helps you prioritize. And like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I would have all these goals, but I wouldn't know which way to go. So it's like I would just sporadically achieve goals over time. And it's like, oh, I just so happen to get this done. But it's like, oh, now I want to jump over here. But while I'm working on that particular goal, another one stands out to me. So I would have a lot of starts and stops. And it was turned from weeks to months to years. And I realized, like, oh, like, I really stopped working on this goal because I got distracted by another one, because it's like, oh, I want to do all of this. And I think I may have mentioned it in one of my YouTube videos that I would just, write these insane lists of goals and think that I was going to accomplish all of them in one calendar year. And you have to be realistic with yourself. And in order to do that, you have to prioritize. You really have to sit down and think about what is most important to you. And in order to figure out what is most important to you, think about where you want to be the most. Not necessarily what you want to have, what you want to do. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? And for me, I want to be a person who is fearless. I want to be a person who can put fear to the side and it not even be a factor, because in the past it has kept me paralyzed. And it's a big part of the reason why I would have those starts and stops with my goals. So what's helping me figure out what's most important is what is going to help me tackle my fears, what scares me the most. And that's how I'm able to outline the goals that are most important. And I may have mentioned this before in another video, but I highly recommend working with 3 long-term goals and breaking those down into smaller short-term goals, because you don't want to cloud your mind with all these goals thinking you have to do everything within this short amount of time. Pick 3 goals that are long term, then break them down into short term goals to figure out, okay, so what are the steps that I need to do in order to achieve this bigger goal? So, the second point, accountability keeps you motivated. And that's one of the things that people lack, like, especially with the example that I gave you about the New Year's resolutions. It's like a new year, a new me, everybody is on board with that. So you see someone else, like, they're hitting the gym, everyone's working on their career goals, everyone's eating healthy. So it's like, oh, yeah, let's do this. But when you stop seeing that, when you don't have that reinforcement, and it's like when you don't have your buddy, because a lot of the times people go into their goals with a buddy, and it's like, oh, they're slacking off. Now I can slack off. And then you tell yourself, I'll just take a day off. No, maybe a week. Then, like I said, it turns into months and then it's years. And now it's like, is that even really important to me? Do I even want to work toward it? But that's a lack of motivation. Not necessarily that you don't have a desire to achieve it anymore. You're just not motivated. And that's perfectly normal. But it's important to figure out what's going to keep you motivated, because you are going to hit those slumps to where you don't have a lot of strength and it's like, oh, I'm losing my encouragement. It seems like it's not going to happen. It's taking longer than I expected. What you have to do is figure out what is going to keep you going. And for me, I like to reward myself. And it doesn't have to be anything major. It can even be affirmations that you give yourself. Like along the way, tell yourself that you're killing it, that you're doing a good job. You know, speak that positivity over yourself to keep yourself going. And I know a lot of people do expect to receive that from the outside world, but a lot of times you're not. So you have to learn how to give that to yourself instead of looking for outside motivators. And another thing that I like to do, so because I try not to eat a lot of sugar, dessert is one of my rewards. So it's not even necessarily me reaching a particular goal, but even me working toward it. So if I'm able to check a certain amount of things off of my to-do list, and it's like, oh, look at you, like you are really getting closer. Like I think you deserve a treat. So I'm very likely to treat myself to a dessert or even just a nice meal, like a meal that I wouldn't normally prepare under normal circumstances, just because I feel I deserve it. I'm treating myself. And one thing that I like to tell my clients is like, it can be anything. If it's been a personal development course that you've been watching for a while, it's like, treat yourself to that. If it's a small trinket, if you like notebooks, if you like journals, like whatever it is that will give you that extra push and that motivation, kind of like how when we were in grade school and we would get the stickers, the gold stars. That's what you have to search for. What would be that gold star for you? And that keeps you focused on staying active to where even when you do lack motivation, you can reward yourself and be like, okay, this is enough to keep me going because I know that even though this reward is small, what I'm working for is going to be much bigger. So, the last point that I have, so accountability pushes you forward in life. And I am truly, truly, truly a testament to this because me being here on live with you guys, that has been a struggle for me. Like I've been wanting to do it since 2019, and I will always come up with excuses as to why I wasn't ready to do it, why I would not do it. But I'm here, and I'm holding myself accountable to show up on a regular schedule. And even though I've had to move things around, to fit my changing schedule, I'm still committed to showing up because I'm holding myself accountable. And I can see myself like doing even bigger and better things because of it. But all it takes is that first step. And it's like once you see that it's possible, you can keep going. And when I tell you guys, it's like because I'm able to clear out like space from worrying about, well, if it's going to go right or like what happens if things go wrong. It's like I'm not focused on that anymore. So now I have space to add more dreams to the dreams that I already have. It's like I'm able to brainstorm more. Like I'm able to see outside of where I am now. And at one point, because I lacked the motivation, all I could see was what I did not have. But now, because I can hold myself accountable, it's like, okay, if I'm able to do this one thing, I know I can do the next thing and the next thing, and so forth and so on. And you will wake up one day and be like, who is this person? Because sometimes, like, I just have to stop and, like, be like, girl, like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? I'm glad you're here, though. But you weren't always here, but I am so glad to see this change in you, because it really has been like a 180, you know. So it's one of those things that I am so grateful for because I really do see a better version of myself. And it's not necessarily that you have to change, a major part of who you are, but it's like just embracing the better parts of you, the parts that want to evolve. Because a lot of times when you start to feel stuck and you feel as if like, well, there has to be more to life, that's just your soul telling you it's time to do something different. It's time for you to get us where we need to be. And all that takes is holding yourself accountable. So, regardless of where you see yourself, if you see yourself as a published author, if you see yourself starting a business, if you already have the business, if you see yourself expanding it, like, figure out what it's going to take in order for you to get there and start working on those goals and start holding yourself accountable. And even if you don't want to do it by yourself just yet, find someone who will help you. Reach out to the people who you trust and not just anybody. Because you can't trust everybody with what you're doing, but someone that you genuinely trust, someone that you know will continuously check in on you on a consistent basis, someone who will be honest with you, someone who will let you know when you're slacking, someone who will motivate you when you're feeling down. So just reach out to people and just ask them to help you along this journey. And you can figure out how to do all of those things in my new ebook, The Key to Accountability: How to Hold Yourself and Others Accountable. And as an exclusive for you guys tuning in, it is available for pre-order now. So we have someone else who joined. Hi. So I was just announcing that my new ebook is available for pre-order, and basically this is for anyone who is ready to have the change in their lives that they've always wanted to see. If you've been a person who's always been able to set goals, but you weren't able to execute them, if you had a lot of starts and stops along the way, this is for you. If you're someone who has been enlisted to help someone with their goals and you don't know how to help them, you don't know where to start, this is the ebook for you. And I cover all of those things, and it's going to be a quick read, and I'm also going to include some worksheets in there for you guys as well. And it is $9.99 right now for the pre-order price, so make sure that you go to the link in my bio, and it is right there at the tippy top, so you don't have to search too far. So make sure that you pre-order your copy, and if you are someone who is interested, just go and check it out. If you're not interested but you know someone who might be, share the link with them. And as always, if you want to work with me one on one, I offer accountability partner options. So I can be your accountability partner. I can help coach you through the process, help you work toward your goals, not only set them, but actually achieve them. And the biggest thing that I like to push my clients to do is just to enjoy the process. Because it's not necessarily reaching the goal itself, it's just what are you learning throughout the process. That is what keeps you evolving, that is what keeps you going. So, again, make sure that you go and pre order your copy of The Key to Accountability, How to Hold Yourself and Others Accountable. If you want to work with me one on one, go to the link in the bio and click Book with Us. Go to the website if you're interested in other services. Of course, I offer help with book coaching as well as career help. So go and check all of those things out. And also, I offer help with business copy. So if you need help with your social media copy, email copy, feel free to send me a message in the contact us form, or you can DM me on here. If you have any questions about anything that I discussed tonight, feel free to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. And if you have anything in particular that you want me to discuss going forward, this is the time for you to pick my brain. Any questions that you have, like if it is within my expertise, I will answer the question. And if not, I still won't leave you hanging. I'll just take your question and figure out, who will be able to answer it and direct you to them. And I really do appreciate you guys for tuning in with me tonight. And I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of the week and that you finish out this month strong and that you go into July even stronger. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.